Welcome brothers, welcome sisters, welcome to our program On Target. As usual, as soon as we start this program, we invite people to contribute. Pick up your telephone, give us a call. The number is 442-0175. We're on YouTube and Facebook. It seems that we have we have some challenges with our 91.9, what do you say, terrestrial radio this morning. So perhaps the majority of our listeners would not be getting us on 91.9 and 91.5. We are doing everything in our power to address the challenges we face. Our apologies again. But you can get us on Facebook and YouTube. A lot of people have phone and have access to the internet. I know a lot of my brothers and sisters need help. So you could ask individuals, once you have access to the internet, to put you onto YouTube. And they will be able to put you onto YouTube. Don't afraid to ask the children. The children are using computer and internet on a daily basis. So they are much better knowledgeable, more educated, wiser, more literate in terms of the internet than us. So don't be afraid to ask the children. Or you could meet any of the young ones in the community and ask them. And they will be able to help you to assess our program on YouTube. Yes, so while we await your call, you know we speak on any subject matter. You're well aware of the challenges that go on in the world today. We can't forget Ukraine and Russia, Israel and Hamas and Palestine. A lot of Grenadians have been showing quite a lot of compassion and empathizing with this situation in Israel and Palestine. You don't hear Grenadians talking about Haiti. More people is dying in Haiti than what died in the war in Ukraine. Gangs seems to be more powerful in Haiti than the government. A couple of days ago, a couple nuns was kidnapped. They surrounded the convent, and a couple nuns was kidnapped. And Catholics all over the world send out communique asking to pray for them. Some people describe Haiti as a failed state. Most of our Caribbean leaders only play lip service to Haiti. You saw just under 2 years ago, the Prime Minister went in the United Nations and he grandstand. And immediately 15 Haitians was on a plane coming to Grenada. And the government turned them back. They did not let them land. And since then, the Prime Minister, perhaps, the word Haiti has dropped from his vocabulary. Sometimes I believe we in the Caribbean have two bouquets of flowers. One of them we look at all the time and admire. And the next one is Haiti. The situation in Haiti is considered by some untenable. When you have gangs stronger than the government, you have trouble. And we have trouble in Haiti. But we also have increase in crime in Jamaica. Over 2 years now, there are some police division in Jamaica where state of emergency has been declared. We have over 20 deaths in St. Lucia And we on the 7th of March. And over 20 deaths in St. Lucia. That is roughly 10 a month. If they continue like that, they will have over 100 dead. We in Grenada have had some interesting increases in violence. And the government of the day seems paralyzed. They don't know what to do. The government has not entered into dialogue. They have not seek help. They abscond. And they encapsulate themselves in a cocoon. They're hiding. I do not believe if we do nothing, the crime situation in Grenada would fall. It would continue to rise. There are a number of factors that contribute to increasing crime. All these scientists and statisticians would tell you one of them is high unemployment. I could say with a sense of conviction that this government under Deaton Mitchell has contributed directly to the increase in crime in our country. Yes, caller, welcome.
Good afternoon, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, caller, welcome.
Good afternoon, on-target listeners.
Yeah, my brother.
Mr. Pierre, it will be rather interesting to see the incoming chairman of the CARICOM community in July. I would like to hear what will be his address with this issue that is happening in Haiti right now. Because this will be one of the best chances or the golden opportunity to show his skill and his compassion as to unrest and crime on a whole. I would like to hear him. And if he does not give a resounding and harsh denunciation of what is happening in Haiti and gather his CARICOM members, leaders, and try to put a stop to what is happening there, it will show his weakness as a leader in the Caribbean, and in my life, a weak leader as a leader of Grenada. And I am waiting because he will be the next chairman. Grenada will be the next country that they have their meeting, and that's what I want to see, right? Secondly, Mr. Pierre, I would like for you to tell me, do you know of any vehicle in Grenada that's an NNP bus or NNP car or NNP truck? Do you know of any such?
None.
So it baffles me to hear people saying that they're riding a bus, and because the bus is playing a certain station, it's an NNP bus. That's a level of stupidity we're on right now. I mean, it is laughable. If somebody is driving a vehicle and they play in a radio station, what does that have to do with the person's affiliation? You are free, the last time I checked, to gather, associate, and listen to whatever you want. If you choose not to be on the bus, you drop. It's as simple as that. I mean, we come in so far, 50 years of independence, and yet we still cannot have a simple common understanding that we must coincide regardless of who we like, who we don't like, or our preferences. The world is becoming modernized, that we need to stop this nonsense. Come on. Grenada didn't start in 1974. Grenada didn't start in 2022. NDC didn't start Grenada. NNP didn't start Grenada. Maurice Bishop didn't start Grenada. Likewise, Elgeria and others. We have to coincide as a people and try to come together. Too much of this division is going on, too much. But I will say again, Mr. PM, you will be the next chairman of CARICOM. I will want to hear your address and what is happening in Haiti. Thank you, Mr. Pierre.
Well, I'm not as optimistic as you. When the Prime Minister went in the United Nations and he grandstand, and immediately the Haitians test him, and the Prime Minister run, he abandoned the ship, he ignored the Haitians, that there is not much the Prime Minister could do now. He have dropped the iron. The Prime Minister grandstand, he was taken to task and he abandoned the ship. maybe he might able to put out a good speech. When he contact the internet, and if somebody help him to write a speech, he might present a good one. But Haiti want action. The government of Kenya, I think it's Kenya, was in plan to send 1,000 police to Haiti to lead a team. But I know they've been having some serious challenges. The United States promised to help fund it, but the High Court in Kenya thwarted the effort. CARICOM is speaking, but CARICOM don't want to help Haiti. The leaders of CARICOM, where Haiti is concerned, they cannot afford not to talk about it. But they don't put any energy in it. They don't expend any energy. The people in the Caribbean is hostile towards Haiti. The people in the Caribbean. So after the Prime Minister in Grenada made his grandstand in the United Nations, and the people of Christophe challenged him, and the Prime Minister turned his back, the Haitians in Grenada, people started to treat them worse. They were here, a couple of them, they were working. The contractor that employed some of the Haitians started to treat them as foreigners. You notice they're very quiet because our people in Grenada is not very welcoming to our Haitians. We could talk good, you know. That is why the Bible tell you, some people in the Bible, faith without work is dead. Faith without work is dead. That is why we have so much challenges in our religion. Too much of those Christians don't walk, they talk. Too much of our Christians become saltless. They don't practice Christianity. Too much of our Christians dress up with big Bible and cram texts in the Bible to pelt. But they don't help their neighbor. They don't seek the interests of the less fortunate Christian. It is sad. It bleeds the heart of many because now we have a government in Grenada that is so insensitive to that which many before struggled, live frugal, die in poverty, went in prison for. We have a government that is so insensitive. One of our Grenadian Uriah Buzz Butler, who did quite a lot of struggle in Trinidad, he spent about 8 years in prison struggling for the cause. Eric Gary stood up against the British, and the British sent 2 battleships in Grenada because Eric Gary decided to fight for the people of the lower income group. These people was called illiterates, dumb, stupid. The most despicable names was used to describe them. When some of them acknowledge, yes, we don't have education, they start to call them stinking Garrett's. Eric Gary built 28 schools in 13 and a half years, bringing the St. George's University against the effort of the intelligentsia. Even Maurice Bishop was against the St. George's University. The opposition leader then said they would not even able to practice in Pitimatnik. Gary stood up and fought. The individual that went to Gary to start the St. George's University was 25 years old. 25 years old. During that period of time, a number of youths, based upon the United Nations standard, was extremely macho. Now we have some old males in the country playing them as youth. Every now and then I hear people talking about youth. We the youths, among the old males and old females. If they were rabbits, they would have been thrown out of the pen. They have been slaughtered and salvaged for food. Yes, caller, welcome. Yes, caller, welcome. Me last caller? Sorry, caller. It's a very important thing for us to know. Based upon the United Nations, a youth is between 15 and about 25. Based upon most countries in the world, a youth is between about 15 and 35. Based upon the philosophy of NNP, a youth is between 15 and 39. If you are above that, you're not a youth. You are an old male. If you cross 40, you are an old male. Your testosterone level start to drop. You don't have to believe me. Ask any medical doctor or any nurse. Tell them what I say. Watch them in their eyes and ask them if it's true. If you are over 40, you're no longer a youth. And you could take your phone and Google, find out what is the age of Martin Luther King when he had a PhD. Find out what is the age of Walter Rodney when Jamaica and Trinidad banned him from coming in the country. What was his age? And what was the age he got a PhD? Find out what was the age of Keith Mitchell when he ran election for the first time. Find out what was the age of Eric Matthew Gary when he entered politics. Find out what was the age of Maurice Bishop when he died. And you're going to see those who call in youth now is old males and old females. If they were rabbits, they would have removed them from the pen. They would have removed them from the farm because they're no longer productive. If they were animals, they would have started to call them. And they would not have used the males as breeding stock. When you reach the age of 40, and I'm being very conservative, your testosterone level in your body start to drop. Your HB start to drop. That is why we say life begins at 40. It start to dawn on you. You're old. You're no longer youth. We must dispel with this notion. Because you have too much old people behaving as if them is youth. If you're over 40, you're not a youth. We have enough example in politics. Find out the age of Mia Mottley from Barbados when she become Attorney General. And these old people you hear they calling youth, they're not youth. They have a lot of contribution to make. But if you continue to call them youths, they will behave as youth. Immature. Some people 40 years, they can't make up their mind what type of life they want to live. Whether it's the religious life, the single life, or the married life. 40 years, they don't know which end to use. The time has come for people to start to act their age. And we cannot in our country. We must not. We should not. We ought not to. Calling old people young. Don't call young people children. That in itself is being very unproductive. And as you say the word productive, I realize the National Democratic Congress members start to talk about productivity now. But I believe the NDC executive, the NDC ministers has contributed to low productivity in the country. Yes, scholar, welcome. Yes, scholar, welcome. We hear your radio in the back. So what to do, talk on the phone and don't listen to the radio. We have a delayed broadcast and we hear in your radio. So talk, punch. Well, this individual has some challenge. So let him try to call again. When you pick up the telephone and you call, you have to listen to us on the phone. What you're hearing on the radio has taken place a few seconds away. So if you're listening to the radio, you're going to have challenge. Turn down the radio a bit and move away from the radio. We know you may want to hear, the people in the house may want to hear you and hear you on the radio. But they're going to hear you on the radio a few seconds after you speak. So please give us a call. We reach to the word productivity. Are we productive? Are we productive as we ought to be? Or we should be? And perhaps at this stage that the government for the first time in the last 2 years is concerned about productivity. And the government didn't go back and do a post-mortem and look at the actions of the ministers, the policy of the government, the signals that they send. They immediately jump and blame public officers. And I want to take issue with them today. Directly taking issue with them. I believe the productivity level in this country is lower than what it was post-June election. And I believe the government led by Dick Mitchell is solely responsible for low productivity. And when you say that, you must advance reasons. And I'm going to advance reasons and justification why I come to that conclusion. And I want you to challenge me. Challenge me with reasons. A new government come in power. And when a new government come in power, you expect some changes. It's like a referee on a football match. You fix the ball where the penalty is supposed to take place. The referee run about 40, 50 yards and he moved the ball and he put it back almost the same place. Yes, scholar, welcome.
Mr. Pierre, good afternoon.
Thank you, my brother. Great man.
A day or two, I didn't hear you. I didn't get your program.
We have some problems on the radio.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what you are saying there is that in the next couple of months or when the Grenadian Prime Minister will be the head of CARICOM or something like that, you're saying?
Yes, he will be the head of CARICOM. I think he moves around every 6 months. Yeah, every 6 months we have a new person heads CARICOM. Yeah.
So he will be that for the next
yes, months? Grenada will be the head, and he is the leader. He will be the head.
Well, according to other people, and you, that is the only in mind. He can't help Grenada. He could help CARICOM.
Yeah, the Prime Minister.
Anything concerning CARICOM, concerning Grenada? The early leaders and them are some jokers, it seems, to put an extra joker on the pact. Have a nice day.
Yeah, well, even whether he's a joke or not, the leadership of CARICOM rotates. So every 6 months, a new person is responsible. And that means the meeting would take place in Grenada, and the Prime Minister is the head. I have appealed to Ralph Gonzalez in St. Vincent, to try to see how you could give the Prime Minister a 2 hours crash course in humility. The Prime Minister of Grenada is a fake. In addition to that, he's greedy and he's very insensitive to the people in the lower income group. And the Prime Minister and his team, 9 of them, I consider them as vultures. And they have directly contributed to low productivity in the country. And now I'm going to advance some reason why I believe so. The effectiveness of productive effort, especially in our industry, it is measured in terms of the rate of output per unit. So if you have 10 people doing a job, you expect a certain amount of work done. But if you put 20 people, you expect much more work done. To anything you're doing could be measured. There are some schools of thought that say anything you're doing could be measured. So when the government come in power, the Ministry of Finance was highly motivated. They was highly motivated. An effective ministry that appear to the public to be working with unison. In so much so that the government bail out, they meet the Treasury pregnant. The Treasury had money. It's the first time in history, a new government come in power and bail out. They bail out. They was surprised. They was shocked the amount of money that was in the Treasury. Gregory Bowen advanced the view, the position, that in a worst case scenario, we must not have to make anybody lose their job in 4 months. Even though all hell break loose, Grenada, for 4 months minimum, no one must lose their job. The government put measures in place to tighten up the shortfalls that they have, to make the Ministry of Finance more effective, to deter corruption. So the government claim any work that you have to give for a contract, give out in contract, and it is more than $15,000, a bidding process must take place. And at least 3 persons must bid. So in that way, the government intended to curb high-handedness by ministers. A new government come in power. And let me tell you why I say this government contributed towards low productivity. The government came in and introduced a policy of restorative justice. What is restorative justice in its practicality, in its workability, as it's applied on the ground? Political vengeance and victimization. The government decided that they had to get rid of people that appears or seem, or even the perception is that they were strong supporters of NNP. The teachers' union leader showed no solidarity with members of the public workers and low-rank members of the public workers union that lost their job. In fact, the union was encouraging to fire NNP in the ministries. The government fired about 3,000 persons, lost their job in less than 2 years of the government coming in power. The government fired 31 workers on the Granba estate. The government got rid of people in the marketing board under the pretext that it was changing the system, they was bringing in a new marketing board. They was trying to improve its efficiency. A number of people challenged the government, and the permanent secretary, particularly in Kariakou, decided not to meet with the Ministry of Labor to discuss the issue to set it amicable. The unions didn't have much guts. They didn't expend much energy because the Grenada unions believed that the previous government was assisting the people on the ground too much. They call them eater food people, greedy and needy people, nasty people, commoners. So the unions themselves they only had some token of effort, because normally the union have to meet with the PS in labor to settle an issue, and the union recognize that the PS is directly not meeting. The union will take actions to force that meeting. The unions was extremely quiet. The government continue to create disharmony and havoc within the public service. So obviously, if you meet a public service in the Ministry of Finance, in particular, that was highly motivated and productive, and you start to introduce restorative justice and victimizing people, obviously, the productive level is going to fall. In addition to that, the government changed its system of pay. Instead of paying on a monthly basis, the government decided to pay all workers twice a month. So the 15th of the month, 15th, 16th of the month, you're supposed to get your pay. But the same workers that is responsible for making up the pay sheet in 30 days now have to make up the pay sheet twice for the month. But through the same workers, you've been fine workers. You say the blood green. So you've been fined. You have to be a lunatic twice not to expect a drop in production. You have to be a lunatic twice not to expect a drop in production. The government ministers was traveling as if they win the lotto. So they was not on the ground. Their foot not on the ground. The Prime Minister visits Grenada regularly. It has come to my attention, and I don't know to what extent that is completely true, that sometimes the Prime Minister is in Grenada and he attends cabinet meeting on Zoom. The Prime Minister is telling lies as when horse-trotting. Yes, scholar, welcome. Yes, scholar. We lost the scholar. The Prime Minister is telling lies as when horse-trotting. This must affect the productivity level on the ground. The Prime Minister of Grenada and his team, they made all kind of promise. And they told people that this could happen overnight with the stroke of a pen. Absolutely no need for a parallel public service. You had a parallel public service since the public service start. This government come in, a bunch of political neophytes, they knew, zero experience, and they decide to make these change overnight. So the government of Grenada is directly responsible for the low productivity. But it doesn't take blame. You remember in 2008, 2013, yes, scholar, welcome.
Yeah, Mr. Pierre, I'm going to call back again because I realize the radio down and people not really hearing you, so they're not knowing if they call or not.
And I welcome your call, and you could call back after your call back.
Yeah, but hear this. Mr. Pierre, before the elections of 2022, wasn't there bathroom and toilet building in Grenada?
Yeah.
Wasn't there intercall going on in Grenada and school sports going on? I mean, besides the COVID and stuff like that, and the teachers going through their little strike action, there was sports going on, right? I am, for the life of me, I listened to the Prime Minister when he had the forum at the Trade Center with his vision what? 2050 or whatever you call it. And he said, that Prime Minister, Mr. Deacon Mitchell, he said that these projections is not his own. It was from the former administration and the people of Grenada. But my God, yet for all, they hear people say that NNP destroyed Grenada for 23 years. They are giving you mixed. The supporters of this party, they're tied up. Is it that NNP destroyed Grenada and NDC fixing it, or you all running on the foundation of what the NNP has done? Because there's nothing that you guys implemented on your own, other than the Senate program, firing people, discrimination and enriching in your own selves, your party hacks and party members. There was never an NNP minister that took a loan from CDB. There was never an NNP minister that you can say was involved in corruption and was charged by any court anywhere. You know? And all these things, when you're trying to validate NDC ministers, give them a chance. Give them a chance. So the only indication on Grenada people right now is that they vote for NNP for all the years. And why do you think they vote for them? They have trust in them. Leadership qualities come from experience, not how you come up. Can any one of these NDC supporters tell me, convince me, where was Deacon before that election of 2022 and the convention of 2021 of NDC? What was his contribution to Grenada development? What did he do? Did he play in village sports? Did he run for Grenada? Besides being a teacher in PBC, what was his contribution? This is not infatuation, brother. You can't come and say people like you because you're young and you're looking good and you're just nice. Leadership qualities come from small. Youth parliament, I can say, okay, well, Ron was in youth parliament. I can say Ron was a senator. The same I can say for Kieran James. What was this guy's involvement? What did he do? He represents companies against Grenadians on numerous cases. Yet still you all have this guy as your idol and messiah. Grenadians, get your act together, man. And NDC supporters, please, I'm begging you all. Do some deep diving and do some research, and then you all will come and talk to us. Please. Mr. Pierre, good afternoon.
Yes, caller, I agree with you, but I think they would not do deep diving. The truth burns them. And you have to continue to tie the truth in the most respectable manner. Tie the truth on the supporters. Make the supporters know that in 2008, 2013, NDC won 11 seats. And what they did, they brought the economy into free fall. They lied to the Imani. They tell them, you all are my children. We won't fire you all. They fired the Imani. They sold 13 pieces of property. They sold property that did not belong to the government. They sold property that legally NDC couldn't sell it. They still sell it. Yes, caller, welcome.
Hey, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, my brother, welcome.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Yeah.
You talk about people engaged, people engaged. I just want to ask you, where's the island gas had? Anyhow, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, my brother.
Because Mitchell, you'll be leading CARICOM. You'll be leading Grenada. And you can't do nothing about that. Or you could say what you want. He is a leader at this country and CARICOM. He'll be leading 7 million people. And you could say what you want. He will be leading the country. Mr. Pierre, you talking about rascal list and this kind of thing. The NNP government, they lose $80 million from the fifth fund, that is British fund.
Caller.
What was given to
Caller.
Nigeria. They lose
Caller.
it.
Caller. Caller.
Boy, it gets
Listen,
back.
caller, listen to me.
Grenada
Caller, hear me out. Why don't you call me program as soon as it start? As soon as the program start.
$18 million.
Caller, listen to me. Call the program as soon as it start and introduce this topic about oil and gas and how much money Kate Mitchell lose. Because what you're doing, you're hiding. Deacon Mitchell is the chief shepherd and he leads the country. He won the election fair and square. People put their trust in him. And now Deacon Mitchell is running and hiding. And I know you support the party, or I know you're against Kit Mitchell. I think you're more against Kit Mitchell and support Deacon. So Grenadians have to try to get Deacon back on track. You don't want the government sell Nawasa. I know they're going to sell electricity company. But I don't want them sell Nawasa. And that is why it's important for you to challenge me. I am saying today that the government is publicly accusing public workers for low productivity. But that is the very workers for 10 years that was improving the effectiveness. The Ministry of Finance workers, the police, and workers in the pharmacies, the government pharmacists. I consider them as the three most productive group in Grenada. But some will argue that almost all sectors in Grenada, productivity was increased. Almost all sectors in Grenada, productivity was increased. The NDC came in power. They jump up like children because they met a lot of money in the Ministry of Finance. It is the first time. It is the first time that happened in history. They squander the money. They squander the money. They run on plane as if them is little children and Santa Claus come. You know when people leave money for the children, the parents dead, they leave the children a lot of money. And the son takes some money and go in, I can't remember the place in Los Angeles where he has gone gamble. So somebody call me, when you call me, tell me or WhatsApp me and tell me. They gamble, they go in Honolulu. The NDC squander the money they made there. In addition to doing that, the National Democratic Congress, yes, caller, welcome.
Mr. Pierre,
Yes.
you say pay in the pension is squandered money. How little you think about Ghanaian people? Mr. Pierre, the government spend millions of dollars on the celebration. You cannot squander money. That is to show you how you don't care nothing about the Ghanaian people. You refuse to spend a cent on the Ghanaian people. They spend $1 million to showcase Grenada. And are you break it down, are you destroy it in the space of 2 hours? Let me tell you something. You talk about low productivity. What going on here is because of our low productivity. We have 40 persons employed in a police station. And then people still get away and go and damage in the Grenada. And you can't, that is seed are you sow. Because are you not interested in this country? Are you just saying things? But that is wickedness and they will pay for it. You have people in this country, you have 40 policemen getting paid. My hard-on tax are going to pay them. And they're not doing nothing. They need to wicked fellas. These fellas the government need to cut their salary. They leave the two weakest fellas in the police station to get prisoners. When the prisoners get away and go there, the government must call the fellas. I am fully supporter. So pay you a good day.
Okay, my brother. And I am, well, Dick Mitchell I believe Dick Mitchell is listening to you. Caller, perhaps you're doing a very good job in causing Dick Mitchell to run from the country, abscond, hide himself. He is the Prime Minister of Grenada. He can't hide. That is why I call on Nazim Bok, Mr. Tillman Thomas, Franca Bonadine, my brother Willie, and Comrade Ray. Talk to Dick and say you can't hide. You is the leader. You is the ram sheep. Whether you know, you're not a yo. You is the ram sheep on the farm. You cannot hide. You is the chief shepherd. You are called time to come to an interview. Time to call a press conference. Time to tell your team to discontinue the language, the fractious language you're using. The National Democratic Congress is responsible for the low productivity. The Minister of Legal Affairs questioned the productivity of the public officers. The Minister of Finance questioned the productivity. Comrade Lennox Andrew challenged the productivity level. NDC is responsible. You introduce restorative justice. What do you expect? You calling people commoners and beggy. What you expect? You set up MIT. That ministry is for political mischief. What do you expect? You told lies and tell the contract workers you're going to make them permanent. You told them that is easy with the stroke of a pen. You use words as soon as. You, the government, is responsible. You fire the labor commissioner you brought in. And I understand the reason you fired her, because she decided to sit on some cases where the hatchet man fire people. So you fire instead. You claim you're bringing a professional. But you didn't want her to act as a professional. You set up sham boards. So they provide millions of dollars for several of your ministers. Tell me where we had precedent like that. The government themselves, several of them are agents for the CBI program. So your chief cook and bottle washer, who is going to do the check and balance? You refuse to pay the faith workers. You went to a hotel and dramatized. And before you finish, your drama was destroyed. Because if you have 300 workers getting $800 for 24 months, that is 5 point something million. And if you have 12 workers getting $1,200 for 24 months, that is 300 and something plus thousand. So 6 point something million rich. And you don't speak about logistics and supplies and telephone, etc., etc. Instead of you paying the people, you went and kicks on ordinary poor people. You remove $150 from the elderly. Even disadvantaged children did not escape the hostility and the wrath of the NDC. You don't expect low productivity then. So you're a lunatic. You don't expect low productivity. We're celebrating 50 years independence. and you spent 22.5 million, you budgeted 22.5 million, but there was no extra work for the people in the lower income group. You gave them the right to have the function and the party. And several hours before Independence Day, you rescind that right. Now, who does that? Now, you are a lunatic twice. Politicians is going to make mistakes. But this thing is not mistake. And you supporters hiding and running. Cultureman, give me a call. Only making some low blow. I can't even find Danley in the rum shop. And Comrade think me is a dummy. They cannot answer the questions. They're running. Deacon have to tell us what is the justification for restorative justice. The Minister of Agriculture have to tell us what is the justification for firing the 31 workers from Grand Bay Estate and sabotaging the source of industry. Now, if you paying Mr. Forrester, and nothing is wrong with that, as an ambassador for the diaspora, Mr. Forrester have to understand that you're not paying him to raise funds for NDC. But it appears and it seems that his main role is raising funds for NDC. Every month, are you in gala? Who is paying for the treatment in gala? Who is paying for the traveling? The Prime Minister every minute in Dubai and Saudi Arabia. Who is paying for that? Now, NDC, whether you like it or not, you must face these realities. It starts to have negative consequences. You told the Imani you're going to give them $500. The big man that stand up by Deacon, when he was saying that, I make sure he's shame. The Imanis was getting between $700 and $1,350. You see, it started up between $7,000 and $1,000. But some of them did CV1, CV2, CVQ, or CV3. I don't know which CV. And every time they do a CV, the government give them a little more change. So some of them was getting up to $1,350. When the government come in power, the government remove the $350 from them. So they end up back with $1,000. The government decide to give them $500. So those who was getting $1,000, they got $500, and those who was getting $7 get $500. The government take it back. Now those who was start up with $1,000 getting $900 and something dollars. Now come on, Ray. Come on, Brother Willie. The trade union leaders in the country, I know you don't have to shed tears for these people. But I'll go and embarrass the Caribbean trade union leaders. Because Grenadians have a good record in the trade union movement in the Caribbean. Lord Clarkson, Clarice Charles, Vira McQueen, Chester Humphrey, Forsyth, Harford. All of them was well respected in the Caribbean. You trade union leaders, you're making this thing because of a joke. You have to tell us if you take our money from Dickney. At some stage, you have to tell us. Because even if you support a party, these things are so rudimentary, so glaring, that you must be able to see it. Imani tell me she getting 9 something. She used to get $1,350 They give her $500, they take it back. You have caregivers now. The government say they have to pay their own NIS. So they have to pay 12.5% NIS. Now the government contributed to low productivity in the country. The government raised the minimum wage. And the government did not realize that they have to pay individuals more money. So while they threaten the private sector, they didn't want to pay the caregivers. You're going to see more homes, some of the religious homes, you're going to see the closing on the homes. They can't afford to keep it. You're going to see employers cutting the labor force. You may see business who operate on shift going one shift. Because if the economy don't improve, then the cost of doing business will be greater. And that productivity, you don't have to be no rocket science to know that. You see, some of you come out in university, all you come out with reading principles. Yes, scholar, welcome. Yes, scholar, welcome.
Today, please don't blame the Prime Minister for anything.
Who we should blame?
The bishop, the Catholic bishop said there is a dark cloud hanging over Grenada, and we are now seeing it. Blame the dark cloud that is hanging over the Grenada.
Don't blame Deacon.
No, not
blame the dark cloud.
No, he's not the dark cloud.
Well, I'm not blaming Deacon.
Question: Who sent him? Who sent him?
Right now, I'm helping Deacon.
All right.
Deacon have to consider me as his best supporter.
Well, I hope so.
I want Deacon get the act together. Stop run. Stop hide. You have to know which end of the field he batting in.
All right. He is afraid of the dark cloud.
Well, if he's afraid for the black boy, come on, I ain't afraid dark cloud.
I'm going to leave it there for the time.
Well, I don't afraid dark cloud. I go help Deacon manage the dark cloud. The National Democratic Congress is solely responsible for the low productivity that is existing in the country now. And I have said before on many occasions in my program, I was so proud of the people in the Ministry of Finance, the police force, and government pharmacists. That is some people you doesn't hear about. Nobody else see them, nobody else hear them. The government themselves got into power and was shocked on the amount of money that they met. And you see our program that's finished quick. We thank you very much for being with us today. Once again, we apologize for the people on terrestrial radio, those who listen to 91.9 and 91.5. The radio station is doing everything within its power to get its act back together. So have patience with us and stick with us again tomorrow for the program, The Extension. Thank you very much.